everyone, welcome back to Flourish with Felicity. Today I have Pastor Jeremy Baker on with me. He is the man that has changed my life for the better. In January, we started going to church, and he has taught us, me and Anthony, a new vision of what the Bible is teaching, what church is, and he is an amazing leader, speaker, and his story is beyond incredible. I'm so very happy to have you on today. Thank you so much, Pastor Jay, for
Well,
coming
thank
on
you
the
so
podcast.
much. You're so kind. I need to have you do
Oh,
all my intros. Thank you so much.
you're so very welcome. So very welcome. Um, you deserve that in
uh,
tenfold, tenfold. So
Thank you.
I want to start off by asking you, just can you give us like a little rundown of what gave you the direction that you have in life? Because you are, like I said, an incredible leader, speaker. What got you down this path?
Mm. Oh, great question. I think for me, I'm like you and Anthony. I'm an
Hmm.
athlete.
Hmm.
Former athlete. You guys are more current and in your zone of athletics. For me, when I was younger, I was just inspired by sports, weightlifting,
Yeah.
physical fitness, taking care of yourself. So I played high school football, basketball, baseball, kind of just three different sports at once every year. Fell in love with the game of basketball, and then had a couple offers to play small school basketball. Took one of them, and then after basketball, I felt like, um, I really honestly felt like my team sports was over, and I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to find a new hobby. So I started working out,
Yeah.
physical, weightlifting, and not bodybuilding, but more weightlifting and just lifting weights. And then I got inspired by that. Long story short, started powerlifting. And then I found this group called the Power Team. This was a world-renowned group back in
Hmm.
the 80s and 90s and early 2000s that would do motivational speaking, and they would do it to feats of strength. They would snap baseball bats, blow up hot water bottles, rip telephone phone books in half, and I was inspired by that. So it kind of really gave me another thought about a team sport. So I
Yeah.
joined the team, and then we were able to, in that, travel literally around the world. So travel the world, breaking stuff, motivating kids, inspiring kids, young people, teenagers. So on college campuses, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, and of course, it's about being a dream maker, not a dream
Yeah.
breaker. It's about being a
Love that.
buddy and not a bully. It's about being a person of of goal setting, dream setting. I want to fulfill my dreams. I want to live life by design, not by default. So there was a lot of that. So that kind of got me started on this whole journey of public speaking, communication, inspiration. So that kind of took me from the sports in high school and led me to really 2 decades, 20 years of traveling the world. So
Yeah.
42 different countries. So that kind of like was the beginning, but it all started with athletics. So, it all started with sports.
Yeah. That is so cool. That is such an interesting little bridge between the two because when I first met you, I knew you as the public speaker, but you started off with athletics, and
Yeah.
that little bridge where you had the athletic side and the public speaking side of motivation is such a really unique intertwine that you never really hear of. Like, I've never heard of anything like that before. That is
Yeah.
so cool. That is
Yeah.
so unique.
I think it helped me though. I think it helped me. I think
Oh,
it helped
excellent.
me because it's one thing to be good on a basketball team or a football team or a baseball team,
Hmm.
softball, cheerleading, volleyball, whatever. It's one thing to be good as a team player. It's another thing to know how to communicate not only to the team, but how to communicate outside of the team. And so
Yeah.
this really helped me develop some skills when I started traveling and speaking to other athletic groups, started speaking to other schools. I started forming this ability to communicate, and of course, took courses. Right, we want to better our craft. You want to become a mastery gift of some area of your life. So I started
Yeah.
taking courses and learning from the best, learning from guys like John Maxwell. These guys are like Lencioni, Tony Robbins, learning from these
Yeah.
guys of how to have stage presence, how to communicate, how to have clarity of thought, and how to inspire people. So you just start, you grow.
Oh,
You're,
absolutely.
like you guys are self-learners, self-developers. You're growth minded. That's why we love having you guys at the church, because you guys are so growth minded. You're open to growing, developing. You're open to getting better. You don't want to remain the same. And I know. Uh, Again, I'm older, but human beings, human nature is we can get stuck. We can get stuck in the way we live, the way we
Hmm.
think, the way we do life, and it really can mess you up. You can miss a lot of great things in life when you get stuck.
No,
So,
absolutely,
anyways, as a
100%.
side note,
No, I mean, it was beautiful because that's the whole point of this podcast for me is to get people unstuck. Like, I want people to get out of their comfort zone, get out and do the thing that they're meant to do and grow. And that is one thing that really attracted me to the church and how you speak, because you really harp on the fact, like, we need to grow, we need to keep pushing ourselves. The sky is the limit,
yeah.
in beyond. One of my favorite quotes, and it was actually on my first podcast, it's lived with me ever since, is a Socrates quote, and it says, "I know I'm intelligent because I know nothing." And it's something
Mm.
that I've known since middle school, and I've lived by, because there's so much out in this world, and there's always room for growth. Do you mind me asking you, where did you obviously, I feel like when I was little, I definitely was not growth minded. Like, you just grow up, you're with social groups and whatnot. What was that changing point where you're like, wow, there's so much out in this world. Like, I need to further myself and better myself. Was that through sports, or was that through weightlifting? Like, where did that hit you?
Yeah, I think it started a little bit sooner than when I got to high school.
Yeah.
It started the way I grew up. You can't control the family you're born into. You
Hmm.
can't control, the nationality, the color of your skin. You can't control some things, right?
Yeah.
Those things are what I call uncontrollable. So when I grew up in a very difficult home. My dad was a drug dealer. My dad was a convicted felon. So I grew up without a father in the early days of my life. No father figure, no role model, no one to help me, no coach. So uh, I was told my whole life that I wasn't going to amount to anything, I wasn't going to be anything. So I was told from an early age that your mom is 16. That's when she had me, and your dad's 17, but he's nowhere to be found. So growing up this way, you can start believing kind of what people say, or you can start somehow believing what's on the real depth of who you are inside, knowing that
Yeah.
the world is way bigger than the voices on the outside of you. And I think we got to be careful, even now in this world that we live in, not listening to all the voices around us, but
Hmm.
following that voice on the inside of us, that when God's speaking to us, or when we know in our heart that that dream can happen, that we don't give up on that pursuit of that dream. We don't give up because
Yeah.
it's hard. We don't give up because of the struggle. So I think it started early for me. To answer your
Yeah.
question, it started early that I had this belief that I was going to win in life no matter what. It didn't matter how uh, life was given to me. The deck of cards was not in my favor, but I determined what cards I'm going to play in the seasons of life. So I determined I was going to win. So that's when I think sports really became a big part of my life, big part of my
Yeah.
journey. Physical fitness, weightlifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman stuff. It became a big part of my life because majority of my life I was told no. Majority of people will tell you no. Most people will tell you no, you can't do this. No, you can't be successful. No, you can't have that dream. No, that business is not going to happen. No, that career is never going to come to pass. And it's not. And I don't think their heart is malicious in that. I just think, honestly, it's because they've been brainwashed. We have been brainwashed
Yeah.
as human beings, that no, 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 no. And the reality is, no one's no can compete with God's yes. If God
Yeah.
gave you a yes, then God is going to see that dream come through. As long as you're willing to work hard, pay a price to be great, that thing's going to happen. So I think earlier on, I just had this fight in me. I'm a fighter. I'm not
Yeah.
a I'm not a I'm not a physical fighter. I don't want to hurt nobody. That's not my heart.
No.
But I'm a fighter on the inside. I'm not. You're not going to tell me I can't. Like, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I was the first person in my family to graduate
Let's
high
go.
school. I was the first person in my family to start a business. Now I have two businesses. I run a church. So I'm not gonna. You're not gonna tell me no. You're not gonna tell
No.
me no. In
Yeah.
less than 2 years, we bought a $2 million building. We're going to put $1 million of renovation. I want to be a winner my whole life, and I think it doesn't mean you're not going to have struggles. It just means you can win if you get the right mindset. If you get around the right people, you
Absolutely.
can win. So there's a lot to that, to unpack all of that. But
Yeah.
in my heart, I think it's deep in me. I think it's deep in me because my whole life I've been told no, and I've always thought, who are they to tell me no?
Yeah.
And there's just been a deeper drive on the inside of me. And some people are not wired that way, but I think you can become wired that way. I really
Hmm.
do think you can change a mindset. So,
Yeah.
anyways, there's a lot there. I know it was kind of all over the place, but
No, but it was so like jam-packed with value. So I want to ask you because I know you work with so many people and you've worked with hundreds and hundreds. What would be, because I know I am very much the same way where I've had this drive since I was little. I'm like, I'm gonna be great. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna do it. And same way. I know I resonate so well with it. But what would you tell someone if they came up to you and they're like, I I want to, but I'm afraid of other people's like the outside world looking at me, saying no, and like they listen and they know that they should do something more and they know that they could be greater. How would you guide that person who is feeling overcome by the voices surrounding them and not the voice within
mm.
them?
Yeah, I would say the first thing you got to do is you've got to change your environment.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that we are products of the environment that we're in. And if
Mm-hmm.
you don't change your environment, you will never change your thinking. Uh,
Yeah.
Environment is so important. It's like this. It's like um, if we took a shark and we took it out of the ocean, a baby shark, and we put it in a small fish tank, that shark will never grow to its full potential. Why? Because we took it out of its original environment and we put it in a smaller environment. And this is what happens with us as humans. We're so controlled by the environments around us that we end up staying stuck. And I know we love people, right? And we should love people. We should all love each other and care for each other. But the reality is, some people are there for a reason. Some people are there for a season, and then some people are there for a lifetime. Not everybody is going to be a lifetime friend. Some people are just going to be high school friends, middle school friends, and then you mature, you grow, your environment changes. Some people are just going to be friends because they're colleagues. But then you want to find people that are going to be with you lifetime. They're always going to encourage you, always going to challenge you, always they're going to help you think bigger. Because if you think small, you just stay small. If you
Yeah.
think big, you end up going to that place. And so your environment is a big part of that. My environment's a big part of that. I always do an assessment of the people around me. Are these people helping me get to where I need to be? And it doesn't mean I leave them. Now, really hear me. It doesn't mean I push them completely away. It just means I limited my time on what I can spend with them. Are these people
Mm-hmm.
helping me grow? Are they helping me become better? Are they making me worse? Are they pulling me away from my dreams? Because the reality is, they might not do this maliciously to try to pull you from your dream, but because they're not a dreamer, because they're not a driver, because they're not a believer, because they don't have this goal in life, they just settle.
Yeah.
There's three types of people. There's people that are sinking in life, they just keep sinking. Then there's people that are on survival mode. They're surviving. They're just surviving. They're just going through the motions. But then there's people that are thriving. Their life is going straight up. They're
Yeah.
determined. They have got this mindset of, I'm going to win no matter what. And those are the kind of people, especially when you're younger, you want to be around. Because when we get older, we can get stuck. Like, I know I'm older than you guys, but I'm not stuck. I don't want to be stuck in my ways. They say you can't change a zebra stripes. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. We've heard all this stuff since we were little, but I don't believe in that. I believe it's your environment that you're in that can cause change to happen. And we all talk about change, and everybody says, "Yeah, I want to change. I want to grow." But as soon as change is started, it's challenging because it,
Mm-hmm.
it pushes back against us. And the reality is, if you really want to change, it's going to be uncomfortable. it's going to be
Yeah.
messy. It's like you guys are physical fitness, you know, professional level, you know, just elite athletes. Everybody says, "Oh, I want to look the way you guys look," but no one wants to diet. No one wants to have a lifestyle of health. Everybody wants it, but they want to go to McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell. They want to do all that stuff. Not realizing that if you're going to look good, there's a price to pay to look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you got to get around the right people in the right environment. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
so I think environment plays a real big part of really you winning in life. Your environment, the people that you're connected to. Jim
Yeah.
Rohn, who's a guy that wrote a book called Good to Great, he said this: "You're the sum total, excuse me, of the five people you hang out with. The
Mm-hmm.
five people you hang out with, you will become the sum total of them, financially, relationally, physically, mentally, socially. You'll become everything of the five people that you spend the most time with. And so
100%.
I think environment matters. I think you got to make sure that you're choosing to hang out with people that are going in the same direction that you're going in life.
Absolutely. 100%. I was going to say the exact same thing. I find too many people are surrounding themselves with the wrong folk, and they're like, why isn't anything changing? Why am I not moving forward in life? And it's like, sometimes, like, yeah, it's internal, it's the mindset that you have. But once you're doing the things and you don't see the progress, look to the outside. It's like, where am I? Like, who am I surrounding myself with? If you're surrounding yourself with people that are not growing, that are not wanting to learn and do the things and become better people,
Mm.
that's going to rub off on you. We're social creatures. We learn and grow from each other. That's how humans work. And it's a really interesting dynamic between like yourself and others. And looking at that environment, I 100% agree, is so crucial for growth in life and
Yep.
becoming who you want to be.
So good.
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Um, I love what you said about like the three different people. Like there's people that are sinking, there's people that are surviving, and then there's people that are thriving. And kind of going back into like surrounding yourself with people, like do like you said, do like a little audit of everyone too. Like, all right, so is that person sinking, surviving, or thriving? Okay,
Yeah.
do I need to limit my time with them or do I
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
spend more time with them? You never know.
Yep.
But like just looking at what they do and like what their habits are and their actions are is going to be crucial. That was huge value. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was great. So I have a few more questions for you. When it comes to approaching, I kind of want to dive into a little bit of like faith and leadership along with faith. When it comes to diving into like your faith, how did that influence you in your leadership roles in
Mm.
life?
Great question. Um, I think for me, let me zoom out a little bit because this could become a very deep question. You
Yeah.
have matter of fact, you have great questions.
Thank you.
You are the easiest podcaster ever. Everybody should want to be on your podcast because you do such a great job,
I
and you really
appreciate that.
you really do. You pull the best out of people, and I know this is my first podcast with you, but I'm thinking, where's this girl been? All these other podcasters need to learn from her because I've done about 100 podcasts, and you just do such a great job of asking the right questions at the right
Oh,
time. So it's wonderful.
thank
I'm just
you.
saying, great job there. It's
I
such a good
appreciate
question,
that.
though. Yeah, it's such a great question.
Take your time.
For me, I think all of us as human beings, just to get on kind of that train, we all have a void. All of us have
Yeah.
a void. And the void is we're looking for hope, we're looking for love, we're looking for acceptance. We are born in this world with insecurities and deficiencies and hangups and hurts, and we go through life, and life is hard. Life is not easy, you know. You can't control everything in life. You can you can control what you want to eat at certain times. You can control, depending on where you're living in the world today. You can control when you turn on your water. You can control certain things, but there's certain things you can't control about life. You can't control if someone, um, you know, is not looking when they're driving their car and they hit you. You can't control that. There's certain things you can't control. So there's controllables and uncontrollables. But for me, I could not control the pain of growing up the way I grew up. So for me, I needed, and I think everyone needs this, I needed hope. I needed love. I needed someone to tell me that life was going to get better. And I found that through my personal relationship with the Lord. I found that with
Hmm.
my personal relationship with Jesus. So as I studied the Bible, as I grew and matured spiritually, because I believe this with all my heart, if you'll get stronger spiritually, then your life will become stronger. Uh,
Yeah.
when I get stronger on the inside, and when I get faced by storms or circumstances or situations or obstacles or challenges, the inside belief that God is with me through that knows that I can make it to the other side. I can make it through that storm. I can make it through that challenge. I can make it through that circumstance. So for me, as a little boy, I found my faith in Christ, and that's
Yeah.
helped me develop to be the man that I am today, to be the leader that I am today. And I think it's important because if you're going to be a great leader, your leadership has to be anchored in something. It can't just be anchored in a 4 year degree or an 8 year degree or 12-year degree. You know, you've got to have your anchor deeper than a degree, deeper than book knowledge, deeper than a philosophy, deeper than a theory. It's got to be life transformational. A lot of people might talk to you guys about, hey, I've got this ideal about what it's going to take to be a great bodybuilder, but if they've never bodybuilt in their life, they have theory. They have just
Hmm.
theory. It's not transformational.
Yep.
You guys are not theory people. You guys are transformational people. You've actually lived it, walked it, went through it, still are in it, still are leading yourself. So a lot of people have great thoughts and ideas, but the reality is most people are not transformational in what they say. They have a lot of theory, they have a lot of great ideas. They read a book, they read a quote, but they don't really have what I call in the church world, in what we'd call in the Christian faith, they don't have fruit in their life. They have the tree, but they don't have the fruit. And so fruit is so important. So for me, um, my leadership is connected to my walk with the Lord. And so my leadership is connected to my walk. I want to be a great leader. So in order to be a great leader, I got to be a stronger person of faith. I want to be more caring. In order to be more caring, I got to be a stronger person of faith. So I've got to have my anchor in something. I've got to be anchored. I've got to have my foundation deep. It's got to be in
Hmm.
my faith. I believe that God loves me. I believe that God has a plan for my life. And so that's where my faith is. That's where my anchor is. So out of that comes the leadership, because I believe that everyone's called to be a leader, but very few people actually are leaders because they don't see themselves that way. You
Yeah.
know, um, you are who you are based on how you see yourself. People don't
Absolutely.
realize self-image, self-esteem, and self-concept play such a big role in the ideal self. Okay, we all have an ideal self. Like, I want to be this. I want to be successful in this. I want to be a master in this. I want to have master level game in this. But here's the deal: you've got to have self-image, and then you got to have self-esteem, and then there's got to be a self-concept. That's what equals ideal self. So if my
Hmm.
self-image is low because I don't know who I am, then my self-esteem is not going to be strong, and then my self-concept, how I present myself, is going to be weak. So I
Yeah.
won't ever live up to the ideal self. So anyways, I know there's a lot there. I'm saying for me to be a great leader, my faith is what anchors the leadership for me. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Absolutely. I know I've told you my story a little bit when it comes to my faith and how I grew up in a Catholic elementary school, pre-K, and then I lost my faith, and then in January all of a sudden me and Anthony both separately had this calling to the Lord, and then we talked to each other and we're like, what, how did you think of the same thing I did within a week of each other? It was the most
Wow.
bizarre thing ever. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
his friend Matt was telling him about the church, Elevate Life, and we're like, Might as well. Why not? Try a new church, right? And here we go. And then the first message I remember you when the first message we ever heard, that was when you broke bricks. And that was life changing for us. We're like, who is this man? Where are we? Like, this is unbelievable. And it's so true. So where I was going with that is that you're the just even just starting in faith and having your anchor in the word of the Lord, the truth is there. And if you are able to anchor yourself to that point and read and dedicate your time to the Lord will help you through anything that you're going through. And I know you've spoke about it previous too, and I know you brought it up here, is one of the biggest things that I've taken from church thus far is that you're always in between two miracles. And if you feel like you're in the rut of it, you're in the deep depths of the storm, if you walk with God and you know that
Hmm.
God is right there with you, you're going to get to the other miracle and it is going to be better than anything you've experienced in the past. And it's just constant. That's the life. That's the cycle.
Yep.
And it's beautiful that you have this um you've had this root in your faith for such a long time, and you've seen this connection, and as you grow stronger in your faith, you're growing stronger in other areas of your life, and
Yep.
it's showing. Like your miracles are happening for you constantly. Like I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the church grow, and like I remember going, and you said that the church started growing at like 600%, like crazy numbers,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
unbelievable numbers, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and now we're going to get a new building, and it's just so beautiful what can happen when you anchor yourself
Yep.
into
Yep.
something,
Very
and
good.
it made you flourish. Yeah.
Very
Sorry,
good.
I know that was a little bit longer,
No,
but
that's really good. No, that's really good. Good job.
there was a lot to that, and it's very beautiful that you've had this connection there, and you're constantly seeing it grow. Where do you so I want to try to like muster up my next question because I wanted to ask you like where do you see yourself going in the future when it comes to your leadership and even growth in faith? Like what does that look like for you? Are you just kind of putting it in the hands of God, or do you have an idea of kind of where you want to go?
Yeah, I think it's always in the hands of God, and I think your whole life is like God, whatever you want, I
Yeah.
want to do. I have some desires, Lord. I have some dreams. I have some aspirations. But at the end of the day, God, it's whatever you want from me. I'm a
Yeah.
servant to you. I think for me, the future looks like us developing a leadership school right here in our church, a leadership school where we can help young entrepreneurs, where we can help people that have never been around leadership type of thinking
Yeah.
uh, build a life by design. Really, my heart is for people. If I was in this thing for myself, um, I would probably go a whole different direction. But
Hmm.
because my heart is really for people, I want people to live their best life. I think you can live your best life. If the average person lives to only be 80, 85 years old, I mean, think about that. That's pretty short time
Crazy.
on this side of eternity.
Hmm.
Now, when you're
Yeah.
young, you think you're going to live forever. You know, when you're a teenager, 20s, 30s, 40s, like, oh, I got plenty of time. But as you get older, you realize time is not on your side.
Yeah.
Time goes by pretty quick. You probably remember when maybe your dad or your mom took off your training wheels off your bicycle. I mean, you might think that was just a few years ago, but that was probably 12, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It just, we don't understand concept of time sometimes. And a lot
No.
of people waste their life. They waste their life and they waste it on stuff that really doesn't matter. Like, I'm so goal oriented. I'm so driven. I'm always dreaming. Like I'm
Yeah.
dreaming a dream that some people would say I'm delusional. Some people would say I'm crazy, but I'm dreamy. Like life
Yeah.
is meant to dream. Like let's dream big. So I want to do a leadership school.
Yeah.
I want to do a school where we can help people design the life that they want to live. What does it mean to have core values? What does it mean to
Yeah.
live by what matters most in life? Because most people are just living. they're not living by a set of values. They're not living by
Yep.
principles. They're just living. They don't know how to do their money, so their money's funny. They don't know how to manage their social life, so their social life is weird. They don't know how to manage their personal life or relationship life. So people move from one person to another person because they don't know how to manage the dating process. They don't know how to manage, okay, now we're serious about maybe possibly getting engaged and then getting married. And then people don't know how to manage all of this stuff. And so their life just becomes a mess. Or they go to a house party and next thing you know, someone gives them something that makes them feel good and takes away a little bit of the edge or a little bit of the pain. Well, now they're looking for more of that because they've never dealt with the real issues on the inside of them. So my heart really is I'm forecasting the future, like if God would allow me, and I just say if it's up to God, but I'm gonna do everything I can. If God would have given me the favor and the ability to help people live their life by design, create a school of leadership, a school of, hey,
Yeah.
the next 12 weeks, we're going to help you grow. We're going to help you develop. We're going to get a game plan. We're going to get you a purpose. You're going to have a goal sheet. This is where you're going to
Mhm.
go. Because you know, and I know, how many people come to you, please, can you put me a diet plan together? Yes, we can put a diet plan together. I can do that all day with my eyes closed. But the reality is, what are you going to do when I hand you the plan? Is the
Yeah.
plan just going to sit on the table? Is the plan just going to be in your journal? Or are you actually going to follow through with the plans? This is what I said on Sunday. Most people live in the land of intentions. They never go from the land of intentions to the land of execution. Most people
Mm.
never execute anything in life. They have
Yep.
all these good ideas, all of these aspirations, all of these dreams, and they live their life in the land of good intentions. Nothing wrong with that. But somewhere across the journey of maturity, you've got to move from the land of intentions to the land of execution. You've got to execute.
100%.
You got to stop talking about it and you got to start being about it. You got to
Yeah.
start promoting it and you got to start actually walking out the purpose of it. So I think for me, the dreams are endless. I'm always dreaming. I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. Like you can't travel the world, 42 different countries, and not be a dreamer.
Yeah.
Uh, my eighth grade teacher, I wrote her a letter many years ago, and she was one of the teachers that told me that I was going to have a hard time in life. And she didn't mean any ill will about it,
Yeah.
but because of my environment, she just wrote this letter to one of the state serval citizens that were helping me in the process. It wasn't necessarily DHS, but it was someone that was helping me. It was a counselor helping me grow. I was working through a lot of
Yeah.
pain, a lot of stuff, and she said, "I don't really think Jeremy is really going to be very successful." And years later, I wrote her a letter and told her of all the things I've done. And I never forget, she wrote a letter back to me telling me that she doesn't know how I was able to accomplish all of that being in the environment that I was in and growing up the way I grew up. And we corresponded, of course, a little bit back and forth. And I just kept writing her, telling her that because she told me no, her no actually inspired a yes in me. So it drove me. I
Yeah.
actually thanked her. Even though she was kind of negative, even though she was kind of hard on me. I
Yeah.
thanked her for pushing me though and
Yeah.
driving me to win in life. I say that because a lot of us, we live life with no rhythm. We go to work, we work 40 hours,
Hmm.
we sleep 7 hours, 8 hours a night. There's 56 hours. And then whatever free time we have, we watch TV or we listen to music or we go to a party or we go shopping. And we like, there's no life. It's like, no, my life is very intentional. Everything I do is intentional. I don't do anything by accident. I live my life on purpose. All of my
Yeah.
money is on purpose. My relationships are on purpose. What I
Hmm.
what I share from the stage is on purpose. I'm not Googling something and just saying, "Hey, let me say this because it sounds good today." I'm actually literally living the very thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, so there's a lot there. So,
No. No. It it is a lot, but it all correlates too, because when you're talking about like dreaming big and you have all these big like you have all these big ideas and you're ready to go and achieve great things, you're letting God make those things happen in your life. And I feel like to kind of expand even upon on the like intention, like you either have intentions or you're actually like executing on those intentions, but some people don't even know how to dream big. And I think kind of wrapping back from like the first part is like a lot of people are brainwashed, and we're brainwashed to just get up, go to work, like have this like very basic routine and never really use that childlike dream and imagination that we're supposed to use. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have that, and children are so imaginative for that reason. We're supposed to continue and build upon that as adults, but we lose that touch with our childlike self. And being able to touch into that and then actually executing on that is going to be what takes you from complacent to greatness.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
and yep. Did you have anything to say on that? It sounded like you
No,
might.
that's no, it's
No.
so good. I mean, it's so good. Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's so sad because like there's so many people that are like that now, but again, the people that are like you trying pushing others and pushing the whole Northeast now to start to grow and become better and learn a different way. And people that are taking into this leadership portion, like what you're talking about earlier too, is like you need to step into this leadership self so you can teach others and you can help others grow as well. And you're doing that exact thing. So you are living on purpose and you are living exactly what you're speaking, which is huge and so beautiful at the same time. So thank you for that.
Thank you, thank you.
You're so very welcome. You're so very welcome. I know we're kind of coming up on time, but I wanted to ask you one last thing. From your heart or from whatever you're feeling, what is one thing that you feel like you need to say on this podcast to help someone go from complacent to their best self?
Mm. Yeah, I would say this. Every dream that's in your heart, as long as you're willing to pay a price and be everything that that dream requires you to be, that dream can come true. Um, don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone hold you back. Don't give up in the fight. Sometimes there's moments of our journey that we are fighting giants and we're winning. And there's moments of our journey where we see a giant and we run. It's not necessarily just because you ran from that giant in that moment that you lost. It's that you got to regather yourself all over again and say, tomorrow I will beat this giant and I will win. Because every day the Bible says there's new grace and there's new mercies every day. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. We put a lot of guilt, a lot of regret, a lot of shame. And I think that's not God's best life for you. You got to let it go. It's like water off a duck's back. You got to shake it off, get back up, and do your best the next day. Because those dreams that are in your heart, I believe they're seeds from God. They're God given to you, and then God wants you to fulfill those dreams, those desires, those passions. But it's going to require you to be great. It's going to require you
Yeah.
to not think normal. You can't think normal. You got to think beyond normal. You can't think average. You can't settle. You can't get in this mindset of I'm just going to be this. You can dream. You can be whatever you want to be as long as you're willing to pay a price, as long as you're willing to put the work in, as long as you're willing to get up every morning with a smile on your face. And it might be all hell is unleashed on you. But if you'll get up and you'll be positive and you'll be encouraging and you'll be around the right people, one day you'll see how far you came and that dream will come to pass. It's leading yourself is the most difficult thing anyone will ever do in their life. I've got to lead myself to be happy. I can't let my feelings take over. I can't let the facts take over. I can't let my friends take over. I can't let my finances take over. You're going to have to lead yourself through all of the struggles of life. But if you can be positive and you can have a great outlook on life, because there's some people in this world right now that would give everything for what you have in your life. They would give everything for the situation that you're in. Because there are some people in the world of 7 billion people, 194 different countries, some people would give an arm or a leg to be in your situation. And sometimes we think our situation is so dire straight, so terrible. And the reality is it's just a perspective that we have. There is still possibility. As long as you got a heartbeat and as long as you can breathe, you can wake up every day and you can win in the game of life. So that's what I would want to say to everybody.
No, that was beautiful. That was
Mm.
beautiful. Thank you so very much. That made me want to get up. I'm like, all right, I'm slacking. Like, no, that was incredible. Thank you so much, Pastor Jay. You are such a miracle on this earth, and I
Thank
am
you. Thank
so
you.
very blessed to have
Thank
met
you.
you, and I'm so glad to be a part of Elevate Life, because every single Sunday and every day throughout the week, I just feel so motivated by the word, and it's all because of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Great
Oh my
podcast. You
gosh,
guys are
absolutely.
wonderful. And you are the best podcast question person ever. And we need to put that all over social media. Everybody needs to have you on their podcast. So thank you.
Thank
And you
you.
guys are amazing. Thank you for being
I
our
appreciate it.
family. Thank you for being at Elevate. And we sure do love y'all. And we'll see y'all soon.
I'll see you soon. All right.
Okay.